Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive. Worst episode ever.
Hey everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons, by people who love The Simpsons, about how much we hate The Simpsons. We are here trying to find which is the worst episode ever. And as always, my name is Dan.
And my name is the Mummy? I don't know.
Oh my goodness, there's a mommy in the studio, but where is my daddy?
Wait.
We're here for terrible puns.
First of all, my name is Jack. Are we
Yes.
saying that the Dracula is Scary Dracula Finger's father?
I think that's exactly what we're saying, Jack.
All right, there.
Daddy!
Some deep backstory.
You didn't raise me good because you're so stupid.
I'm your daddy because you came out of my vagina.
Oh no, this is not how anatomy works.
Why are we doing this?
Hey everybody, we're doing this because it is the first week of May. When you're listening to this, it's not the first week of May when we're recording it. It's still April. But it's the first week of May. That means it's Mayoween time.
Yeah, not Mother's Day.
Not Mother's Day. Maybe next week we'll do a Mother's Day thing.
But obviously our made-up Halloween
We
holiday.
care less about our mothers than we do about a made-up Halloween
if you're
holiday.
new to We Studios, basically we did the math, and it'll take us about 10 to 20 years to do all of the Simpsons episodes.
Right.
Which means we have to do more than one Halloween episode every year.
Yeah, in order to catch up.
every 6 months, 6 months after Halloween, and 6 months to Halloween.
Yep.
Which is May.
That's May.
We're doing a Mayoween
Hence
episode.
Mayoween. It's not Octoween, which is apparently something that we've called the October Halloween episodes.
well, that makes sense.
I didn't remember that until
Yeah.
I was looking at our old episodes earlier today. But today's
Yeah,
Mayoween.
because it's October plus Halloween.
Right, I get it. We're very clever,
It's not
Jack.
like it's 8 Halloweens.
Oh, it's not? I thought after we've done 8 Halloweens, we go back to our home dimension. By the Mr. Mixius Plitnik rules.
Of course.
But hey, everyone, we're doing a Halloween episode today, and we are going to do Treehouse of Horror XXV. That's 25 if you're a Roman. XXV originally aired October of 2014. Jack, have you seen this one?
No, I haven't. This aired while after we started doing the podcast. Actually, a week after we started doing the podcast.
This was October 19th, 2014. I think the podcast started the Thursday or Wednesday before that.
Wow, so this is the very first Simpsons episode to air.
I think so.
And once we started the podcast, I made a rule that I'm not going to watch any new episodes
Right.
unless we're covering it.
Yeah.
So that was the first one I was barred from watching.
Yeah, so we're undoing the bar today. And we're going to watch Treehouse of Horror 25.
That's what Tom Arnold did.
It's true.
You'll work it out, guys.
That's better for 90s percentile. We'll
work
wait for
it out
that.
and let us know on Reddit if you got the joke.
One person's just going to be like, I got it. That'll be the thread. We have a guest. He's coming up. He's not here yet, so we can talk about him if we want.
What a dick.
What a jerk. You guys are going to hate him. He'll probably like this part.
Yeah.
Leave this in.
I like that you're implying that we say lots of bad things about all of our guests, but cut it out.
Well, we do. I mean, Harry, we say horrible things. Bryce.
No, we also say those on air.
That's true. You're right. So we're gonna take a lick. We're gonna take a lick. We're not gonna take a lick.
I'm going to take a leak.
We might take a leak. We're gonna. Both of us have been drinking. We're going to take a break in a moment. We're going to watch the episode. And while we do that, you should watch the episode. If you've never seen it before, check out simpsonsworld.com. If you're in the U.S., you can watch it there. A bunch of listeners, tweeters, Redditors were lamenting that they don't get Simpsons World in the U.S.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Maybe that's a good
Outside
thing.
US.
Maybe it's a bad thing. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to watch these terrible episodes, but I'm sure you can find ways to watch them. That's for you and Google to figure out. But if you're in the U.S., you can go to simpsonsworld.com. And while you're out on the internet, having a break, doing fun stuff, all alone on the interwebs, here's what you got to do.
Well, you keep plugging this Amazon thing, and I got to be honest, it's too complicated.
Oh,
I
Jack.
got to go to the website, click the link.
Jack,
it's
my
too much.
friend, I'm so glad that you've said that because it's so much easier now in order
What?
to shop on Amazon and support We. You don't have to go clicking banners anymore. You can go to WePodcast.com. You can click the banner if you want.
Oh, I can still do that. Good.
Or if you want to be a super cool dude, all you have to do is go to amazon.wepodcast.com. That will take you right to Amazon, and we will get a cut of whatever you buy.
That's awesome. What's that link again?
Amazon.wepodcast.com. That's amazon.weepodcast.com. Do that. Shop on Amazon like you normally would. We get so much money. We're rubbing ourselves in dollar bills.
Really easy. And you said
It's
there's
really
also
easy.
an app for Wii Studios now?
Is there?
No.
Oh, there could be. Maybe we got a Wii Studios app. I don't know.
Maybe if you give us some more fucking
Give
money
us some
on
of that
Amazon,
money, you fucks.
so we can buy some fucking apps.
It's Mayoween. Buy us a gift, you pieces of shit.
We'll go to jock.com and demand them they make us an app at gunpoint. Because that's how we roll.
That's how it is. You gave us money. Now you'll give us something. I don't know. Cut that. Right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back. Treehouse of Horror 25.
Don't forget to say hello to your mothers and
But say
ask
it
them
as
say
Dracula.
trick or treat.
Trick or treat, mommy. Like mummy from Egypt.
I like a man who can relax, not like Grumpy Lumpy there.
Quit making cracks.
Speaking of cracks, pull up your pants, dude.
I'll crack you. What kind of afterlife is this? Can't even strangle my dead kid.
So that was Treehouse of Horror XXV 25, Season 26.
It sure was, Jack.
And before we get into it, we want to introduce our guest, a very appropriate guest for our spooky Mayoween.
Ooh.
Matt Stein from Podcast of Terror. How's it going, Matt?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing
Doing
very
all
well.
right.
Very well.
Doing all right. We were recently on your show, Podcast of Terror.
Yeah, when the hell was that?
Like a month
That was
ago?
like a month or so
A little
ago?
longer, maybe?
We were in
About
theory.
27 beers ago.
Well, 270, maybe.
We were in theory. In theory, we were on your podcast to talk about Gremlins 2, but we mostly talked about I don't remember what.
Wait, you're saying that we went on a podcast to talk about something very specifically and then talk
Yes.
about anything but?
Yeah, I would say that's exactly what happened. Very out of character for us.
Sounds right up your alley.
Before we talk to you, Matt, we just want to give a shout out to your partner on Podcast Terror, Corey. We were trying to get both of you guys on for this episode, and we really suck at scheduling, me and Dan.
Yeah.
We asked you about 5 minutes ago if you wanted to be on the podcast, and Corey's 3 hours behind, and we just couldn't make it work. But we'll get Corey on at some point. But we're glad to have you, Matt. Matt, you're the one that actually listens to the show, so.
I do. I don't know, a big Simpsons fan. So
Yeah, we
a
wanna
friend
get
of
your
mine actually
Simpsons
introduced
profile.
me to your show. What?
We want to get your Simpsons profile. Like, when did you? What's your seasons?
Oh, Jesus. That's a tough question, man. So when I first started watching The Simpsons, it was before I probably even had hair on my balls. But it was always on TV at
So season
6 and
23.
6:30. So season, yeah, I just got my first pubic hair last week. But yeah, when I first watched it, it was already in syndication, and it was on at 6 and 6:30, at 10 and 10:30 when I was a kid. So I watched all those, started collecting the DVDs. So my classic years would probably be season 3 to 8.
Yeah.
Okay, solid picks.
That's the pick.
Pretty classic.
I still watch it because I've come this far, and I ain't no fucking quitter.
There you go. There you go.
I think that represents a lot of Simpsons
that was
fans
me.
who are still watching.
That was me up until I cut the cord and lost
Yeah.
my DVR.
Yeah.
I also have 3 large Simpson tattoos.
Really?
Really?
That didn't come up on the.
You get? Oh, yeah. I have the Mark of the Chosen one on my ass. I have the.
I can't even tell if that's a
Hellfish
joke.
logo.
I think that might be
No,
for
he's
real.
dead
I think you're for
serious.
real.
Fuck you.
Prove it. By the way, we're talking to Matt via video remote. Our very first video remote guest via satellite. So prove it.
Oh my
You
God,
really
his
want me to show you
ass!
my ass?
Oh no!
All right.
No,
No, we don't know.
he's actually doing it.
Oh, he actually does have the tattoo.
Wait, did you really not take him
I really
serious?
did think you were joking. Okay.
Oh no. Yeah,
listeners,
I really do.
I can
I actually
confirm.
had to beg the guy to do it.
Really?
He was so weird about like touching my ass, and I'm like, dude, it's the size of a quarter. It's really just on my waistband.
Not his ass. His ass is not the size of a quarter. No offense, Matt. But
No. It's not my proper ass.
I feel like tattoo artists should be cool with butts, right?
This guy, and I still talk to him to this day, but he's just always really weird. He called everybody a cocksucker.
okay.
He's just a fucking grizzly guy.
And he just wouldn't. He wouldn't do. Would he do girls' butts? I bet he'd do girls' butts.
Probably.
Yeah.
No, fuck it, without a doubt. I think the only reason he did my ass is because I had given him so much of my money already at that point.
What's the other 2 tattoos? Simpsons tattoos.
The flying hellfish on my leg, and then I
Nice, that's
have
awesome.
like a big Halloween chess piece with like this Simpsons as zombies with Satan Flanders behind it.
Prove it.
Uh,
Hold on, let me get my keyboard. I gotta take a screenshot of this.
No, don't take a screenshot.
You don't want
right.
people to see your Halloween tattoo?
there's a picture. Hang on. Let me take my shirt off.
I was just going to say flip it up. You don't have to do a whole to-do.
He can't hear you now. He's taking us. Oh, my God.
Wow.
You're a tattooed man, sir. Is that
No, I
Sideshow
totally
Bob?
could hear you,
impressive.
but it's like because it goes up
All
to
right,
my
let's see
shoulders.
if we can spot him
Wow,
out.
that
I
is an
see Kang and
intense
Kodos
tattoo.
doing Earth Capital. I'm
Yeah,
getting
Earth
distracted
Capital.
because you're playing with your nipples.
Satan, yeah, I don't want him on the internet.
Satan, Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob.
That's
and
awesome.
Then,
Is that Burns?
This
Yeah.
isn't really.
That's his
It's Burns.
University of Springfield throne, right?
Yeah, so it's not. Yeah, it's not really a Halloween thing, but it's still a badass looking chair.
That's pretty
And
awesome,
it was to
dude.
cover up the shitty Homer that I have underneath the huge black section. So
That's A1. That's an A1 tat.
That's awesome, dude. Very
That's
nice.
A1 bold.
thank you. I'm gonna put my shirt back
Yeah,
on now,
please
you
do.
weirdos.
No, we're going to take our
I was
shirts
gonna
off.
say, yeah. Either he has to put his on, or we have to take
I
ours
am
off.
actually going to take a
Oh,
shirt off.
Okay, Dan's removing a layer. Dan's removing a layer.
I went off. I still have more shirts on.
It's strip weave.
How
folks.
many shirts am I wearing, folks? I don't know. Ooh. Ladies' night in Wii Studios.
Before we started recording, we were trying to get the webcam working, and we have my built-in laptop webcam, and we have our official Wii Studios webcam.
Yeah, that's true.
So when we turned it on, he had a full view. Matt had a full view of my crotch, and then when we turned on the real webcam, he had a full view of my butt.
Yep.
So it's a small apartment.
So, we've gotten very intimate over the past 20 minutes.
So tell us about Podcast of Terror.
It's a shit show, and Corey drives the
Unlike
boat,
this,
and I drive it straight to
very
hell.
well-oiled machine we've got
Oh, yeah.
going here.
Oh, yeah.
No, so it started out, it was supposed to be all things horror related, and it's ultimately just kind of evolved into half news, half movie discussion, or when we have certain guests on, it's 3 hours of drunken debauchery.
Oh, yeah. I wonder which guests those are.
Well, you guys weren't the first ones that it just kind of went off the rails real quick, so don't feel like that solely
So you're
belongs to
telling
you.
me that we ruined your podcast?
Absolutely not.
There we go.
burnt that thing into the ground long before you guys came along.
All right.
But do greatly appreciate having you on, and that was Gremlins 2, so if you like horror movies, you should come listen to us around the Galactic Netcast with a bunch of other nerdy shit.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It was a really fun time.
Yeah.
And we're going to be on again at some
Maybe
point.
we'll be on again. Tease.
And Dan saying that as he's removing another layer.
Oh!
Here comes the sock.
Oh, we're playing strip podcast tonight. Every time you say something, you take off a layer of clothes.
every time you miscriticize The Simpsons, you have to remove an article of clothing. So get ready,
All right,
Matt.
well-
because as far
boy,
as we know, you only have a T-shirt on.
That's true. We can't see your below your waist.
We can't believe
We don't want to,
We
man.
can't see below your nipples.
Do nipple pasties count as an article?
They sure do.
Yeah,
Take them off,
they,
buddy.
they count as two. They count as two.
Oh, cool. Then I got 3 layers on. 3 articles.
All right. So, speaking of horror, speaking of terror,
Speaking of Matt's nipples,
speaking of Matt's nipples, we watched season 26's Treehouse of Horror 25.
that's true. We did.
Quick, I guess we won't even do plot recap. We'll just hit up the 3 segments and then
Just give us the overview of the 3 segments.
exactly.
I guess.
So there's we discussed this the last Halloween on Octoween.
Yeah.
But the newer post-classic Treehouse of Horror episodes have a 4th segment in the introduction. It's usually like a
they
lengthy.
usually do.
Usually have a lengthy introduction that almost has an arc and a story of its own.
Right.
This one was a little retro in that it was pretty much back to being just, hey, we're setting up the Treehouse of Horror.
Right, and it was very retro because they actually showed a lot I clips from old Treehouse
Yeah,
of
they
Horror
played.
episodes,
They
which I
played the
liked.
Tonight Show theme music.
They did,
which
and
is one of my favorite pieces of music. I thought both Conan O'Brien and Jimmy Fallon should have just brought it back when they
they
replaced.
all want to do their own
Yeah,
things.
but you can't top Tonight Show.
Eh.
And it's basically this was the 25th Treehouse of Horror, like you said. So it's
big deal.
It's a best of. They're showing the sliding clips of.
Well, it was cute because they had
Treehouse of Horror.
like clips from the first Treehouse of Horror, the second one, the third one, and then a bunch of ones I hadn't seen. Like there was one where Marge had a machine gun coming out of her head. There was one.
Yeah,
that
do you
was
know
like,
anything about Matt? Is there context with that, Matt? A gun coming out of Marge's hair?
I don't remember. There
was
are
one-
so many episodes that are just like on while I'm
Yeah.
doing other things,
Well,
like
not only
literally
that,
anything.
That there's 26 Halloween episodes now, so that's
it's a lot of stuff to draw from.
78 Halloween segments, not including the half/4th segment.
Right. Well, there was one segment that was super weird. It was Santa's little helper had a chainsaw, and he was also wearing Snowball's face. And I'm very intrigued as to what
Do you think it was
segment that
real? Or
is.
do you think it was made up for this show?
No, I think it was real.
Yeah.
Was
No,
that a real
I think
one
it was
then?
made up. Because
Really?
consistently over the years, I generally find some sort of pleasure in the Halloween episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of how shitty everything else is, I still enjoy the Halloween episodes, and I don't remember that.
Okay.
At all.
All right. A lot of people say they'll still watch the Treehouse of Horror. I think it's easier because they're shorter vignettes and the plot is much simpler and easier to follow. And they're for the most part they're gag machines. So I think if a person who doesn't watch the new episodes and is considering themselves just a classic fan, I think that's like the easiest gateway for them.
Yeah, this is the one that you would dip your toe into. Like,
exactly.
What's The Simpsons up to? Like, I have seen some of the post-classic Halloween episodes when I haven't seen any other episodes in those seasons.
They dip their toe in blood.
Yeah, absolutely. Am I supposed to dip my toe in it or drink it? No, I don't know.
do I suck blood with my toe? Anyway,
we should probably talk about The Simpsons.
So the first actual vignette of the three for Treehouse Horror 25 is called School is Hell.
That's correct.
Basically, Bart gets detention. He finds some ancient ruins on a desk that leads to a portal to hell. He and Lisa get trapped in hell, where they have to go to school in hell. And Bart actually thrives in the hell school because, he's Bart.
Yeah.
And he does really well. Eventually they escape, but he convinces Homer and Marge that he actually likes being educated and he wants to be returned to the school in hell. So they send him there and he graduates with honors and the episode kind of ends.
Yeah, pretty much.
What do we think of this? Matt?
Well, you kind of glossed over the fact that they say Prince's name during the intro, and I was just like, ooh, too soon, even though this episode came out like years before
That went
Prince
over
died.
my head. That went over my head.
Prince was one of the celebrities nailed to the wall, I believe, to spell out Treehouse of Horror 25.
Ooh, all right. Well, sorry, Prince. Check out our 90th percentile about Prince.
So School is Hell. Matt, you liked this segment overall or no?
I didn't. It got the most laughs out of me.
It was long. It was longer than the usual
It was
vignette.
long. I have the most notes about this segment.
It really, like, at some point, they escape from hell, and you think that's the end, and then it goes on for another 2-3 scenes.
Yeah.
I found it fitting that there was a dick joke almost instantly.
Yes.
But I feel like the dick joke really went on too long.
Really? Okay, so let's set up the joke for the listeners.
Well, it
if you didn't
started
watch
short, and then it got longer.
It got longer. The more that they poked at it, it got longer and longer.
It got harder and harder to take the joke. It was just too much penis for me to take. Is this getting away from us? Is the joke getting away from us? No, the joke was...
And then at some point, it was inappropriate to even show the joke to your children.
Yeah, and then it came and went. It just was how it went.
The best way to present that joke is in sweatpants.
The joke was that Skinner says something about a penal colony, and Bart says, I made you say penal, and he says, no, I said penal, not penile. And then Bart laughs even harder, and then Skinner says, why are you laughing? I didn't say penis. And then it's funny because he said penis.
So saying the word penis is a joke now, Dan?
I completely agree that it is a joke.
I feel like that's lowbrow humor to just make a joke. I've seen better penis jokes.
Jack, my notes say LOL penile, LOL penis.
And that's the name of the episode. Congrats, Matt.
All right.
Please on your Facebook and Twitter later share that you were on Mayoween 2, LOL penile, LOL penis. That was actually going to be the name of Prince's next album, too.
That was going to be U, the letter U, 2 penis.
Actually, before the penis joke, there's one other thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
It starts off with Skinner mentioning to Bart the different things he did today and why he has to go to detention.
Why does Bart have detention?
And he says, you put cement in the sandbox. And it cuts to Ralph in cement in the sandbox. And he goes, I can't get lost now. And then it cuts back. And it might be the most rapid-fire cutaway gag I've ever seen on the show.
It was a very, very fast cut.
It was super fast, which I've seen in plenty of other shows, but never The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Usually when they do that, Ralph says something really funny, and I didn't really find that funny.
I can't get lost now.
It was okay. It was a fine gag, but it was just I think in these Halloween episodes, because they're trying to cram so much in, and like you said before, they're like a gag machine. They're trying to cram as many jokes in as they can.
Also, another name for a penis.
Well,
Hi-oh!
Let's let that hang there for a second.
Wow.
They're trying to cram so many jokes in that they just, they have to.
Was that intentional?
They come quickly.
The hang there pun?
It was.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Give credit where credit's due.
So the episode continues.
So yeah, now he's in detention. Lisa comes and sees like, oh no. So he finds this desk that has ancient runes inscribed in it.
Right. It's like an Evil Dead type situation where he reads it out loud.
Yeah, he touches it and it hurts, and he goes, "Ooh, that hurt. Ooh, somebody could get hurt touching that. Hey, Lisa, come touch this."
Right.
That was fun. That was cute.
Which I have a note.
Yeah.
Where the fuck did Lisa come from?
That's true.
Why is she staying at the
Just
school?
there.
That's true.
Band
Why is she there
practice?
during detention?
Band practice? I don't know.
Maybe she's, I don't know. She just loves school so much she wants to marry it.
Whoa. I
Let's
assume they
bring
needed...
the rhetoric down a bit, Dan.
Hey, fuck you, Jack. You're trying to shackle me for too long.
Holy shit.
You want
They fight like a
he has half a beer. It's open mutiny at the Wii Studios.
Listeners, I'm taking over this podcast. Me and Hemus and Freet, we're going to run this shit. We don't need you guys. That's true.
I know you guys think I'm some kind
We
of.
don't need you anymore.
I know you guys think I'm some kind of dick cheeseburger, but
Jack, you've been replaced. Welcome to the Dan and Freet show.
all right, Matt. Do you guys need a third on Podcast of Terror?
What's that?
Do you need a third on Podcast of
I'll
Terror?
happily be on Podcast of Terror.
Yeah, I'd love
Like
I'd
a
love to
Max
have
Weinberg type.
Are you trying to take... Are you, this is a drummer. I feel like that would be my job.
All right, I'll be Conan.
You are a drummer. Do you want to plug your band at all?
I guess.
Yeah, right in the middle of the episode. That's a perfect time to plug.
Jack, I've taken over the show, so we're going to do what I want to do. Matt, please plug your band.
Freet wants to hear it. I play drums in a metal band called Drown the Lifeguard. We have some shirts. They're tits. I guess I should send you guys some.
Nice.
They're really nice on the nipples.
That's all I've ever
That's
wanted
all
in a
I'm
shirt.
looking for in a shirt.
There's
Absolutely.
two sharks on it that like rest directly on your boobs, and every time my wife wears it, I just call her shark tits.
That is a great shirt. That is a top-notch shirt.
We're gonna be recording late summer. We're gonna do like a 4-song EP. We have some shows coming up in Milwaukee and Appleton, which
Cool.
I don't. Do any of your listeners, are they from Wisconsin?
I'm sure there's
All
got to be
16 of them?
We
like
span
one.
we span the world.
Matt,
with
we
our
have
listeners.
17 listeners. I download the show.
So they read the ancient runes. They open up a portal to hell. They go to hell. I just
Yeah.
want to say this is actually cool. 26 seasons, 25 Halloween episodes. I don't think we've ever really seen a full Simpsons-ized hell. The closest we came was when Homer went to hell.
Homer went to hell. Yeah,
and he
yeah,
got
yeah.
tortured. But I'm
We saw
talking
bits of it.
This has like the whole hell ecosystem. There's a lot of. I was trying to ask Dan this while we were watching the episode. There's got to be a word for this, but it's whenever you see hell in a pop culture and it's like really gruesome and there's all these weird creatures, almost Lovecraftian, but that's too specific. It's more general than that. Little
Yeah.
Nicky did it. It's like what's it like? They have like teeth for heads and lots of eyeballs. Beetlejuice sort of did it.
Don't say it 2 more times, Jack. Do not say it 2 more times.
I won't say Beetlejuice 2 more
Don't
times.
say it one more
Well,
time. Don't say it one more time.
Beethoven. What? Huh?
That's for the 2 people who like that bit.
I love there was
actually
one
love
Reddit
that
commenter.
bit.
There you go. Matt's one of them.
Shout out to the one Reddit commenter who was like, yeah, that's really funny. Beethoven was
Beethoven
deaf.
because he was deaf.
Huh?
Well,
What?
I find myself, my wife, will I say something, I'll just go, huh?
What?
And she doesn't get it, but it's funny to me. It's funny to me.
Which I
I'm
have
glad.
been
I'm
doing
glad,
to
Matt.
people. I have an ear infection. We were talking about this
Yeah,
before.
you are
I'm
actually deaf.
95% deaf. The only reason I can hear either of these guys right now is because I have a big set of headphones on my head.
Yeah.
I've been deaf all day, all week at work, and it's been a nightmare. And everybody was just like, hey, Jack. Everything sounds like I'm in a pool. And they're just like, Jack. I'm just like, huh? What?
Have
but
either of
yeah.
you ever watched Your Pretty Faces Going to Hell?
I've seen one episode. I watched the first
See,
episode.
it has an interesting depiction of like a live action hell.
Yeah.
It's still comedy, but there's a lot of like creatures and stuff with big eyeballs, and that's the first thing I thought of when you were talking about that.
Yeah, it's cool to see The Simpsons do it. I also loved Ugly Americans. That show got canceled too soon.
Yeah, that show was.
Huh?
Just cut that. Huh? What? That show, I never got into that show. I never got into Your Pretty Face either.
Yeah, no, it was like even not comedies, but like Event Horizon, which is a cheesy movie, but when they would do the quick cutaways to hell,
Yeah.
and it was creepy.
Slight spoiler for Event Horizon.
Oh, well, it's 25 years.
I
later,
know.
so-
I know. It's only 20 years. 97.
All right, whatever.
19 years.
But yeah, no, it was very.
This isn't some sort of podcast of terror, Jack.
Have you done Event Horizon?
No, should we?
I think we should do Event Horizon.
I would do a Event
All right,
Horizon.
I'm down for Event Horizon for our next movie.
I don't love
Right.
Event
I like
Horizon.
it.
I think it's terrible. I think it's
really?
a terrible movie.
I would rather do Jason X. I would much
All right,
rather
let's do
do
Jason X. Never mind.
That's a movie I love.
Anyway, so they go to this hell portal. I really like the idea of seeing a Simpsonized version of hell.
Yeah, I thought this was a great premise
Yeah,
overall.
and
just
basically-
Bart and Lisa going to hell.
Not just go to
I
hell,
liked it.
they have to go to school in hell. They
Right.
actually are enrolled in a school filled with young demons.
But here's what was
Or young
kind of
souls, I guess.
weird. So they read the runes, or Bart reads the runes, and it takes them. A giant hand literally comes up and pulls them into hell, which was a very cool visual. But why did they become demons?
I guess
Everyone in
yeah.
hell is a demon. There's like
So,
spider
I mean,
monsters and all sorts of things.
In John Milton's hell, the demons are angels that fell from grace. But I
Right.
guess in this universe, the demons are just dead souls from Earth. Who
Right, they're supposed to be.
you
They're
convert-
people who become
yeah,
tortured
you
in
could-
hell.
Yeah, you convert to demon.
I guess. All right, I guess.
Matt, you're the horror expert.
Yeah, but that would then fuck yeah, I am. That would assume that they were killed, and if they were killed, then they could not go back to Earth to talk
That's
to
right,
Marge
they didn't
Homer to
die.
convince
True.
them. So there's. It doesn't really work to say that they're dead. For some stupid reason, they just appear as demons all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But they get to go back to not being demons when they go.
Yeah, and then when they re-enter hell, Bart turns into a demon.
Yeah. It didn't make a lot of sense.
All
LOL
right.
penis.
Although, again, so they get enrolled in this school in hell, and that's why School is Hell, great title.
Yeah, well, I believe there is a Life in Hell collection called School is Hell.
Oh.
Life in
Yes,
Hell, of
I
course,
believe you're correct.
being Matt Groening's comic strip that he did before The Simpsons.
I can't remember what this note was because we watched the episode so long ago.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot.
We've been talking a lot. But I put, why is there a statutory rape joke?
Yes, when Bart says that he has a crush on his teacher,
Oh,
and
right,
she
right,
goes
right.
down here, that's okay. Even I wrote a note. I'm like, why? That's
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
That's very uncomfortable. Like, yes, it's hell. Like, horrible things are happening. Unbaptized babies are being tortured.
Right.
But to say that statutory rape is okay, like, yes, look, we're all guys here.
Sounds like heaven to me. You want to have sex with the hot teacher? Come on now.
We've all heard about the.
We all heard Van Halen's Hot for
We've
Teacher.
heard the attractive 25-year-old teacher has sex with a 15-year-old boy. And we're like, why didn't that happen to us?
got it bad, got it bad, got it bad.
And it is. You think about it like that. But,
There you go. Matt knows it.
but when you really think about it, it's like, oh, this woman's a pedophile. And,
Yes,
and
no,
touched this
it's-
15-year-old boy.
It's weird. I wrote "wow!" exclamation point in my
Yeah.
notes
So,
for that.
It would be remiss not to mention it.
I just wanted to point out there was a moment. I think it's when Bart and Lisa first arrive in hell. There is some kind of demon writing something on a chalkboard, and they say, "Oh, why did you go to hell?" And he was like, "Oh, I believe in docetism, the concept that Jesus's body was something or other."
An
And then,
illusion.
yeah, an illusion, and then like a Nelson type
I like that you say
spider.
that's still popular up there, right?
Yeah, right.
I did like that.
And like a Nelson type demon comes in and says, haha, your heresies were venialized by the Council of Palermo. That was
Yeah.
just such a weird,
That's a Simpsons
weird
writer
joke.
from Harvard
I
making
thought that was very funny. I liked it.
theology minor.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was
payoff.
funny. Just this like very obscure old
Yeah,
Christian
I
sin.
liked it too, but I mean,
All right.
we're,
Right.
we're history
How many,
kids.
how many people was that just simply lost on? Because
Yeah, everybody.
I went to private schools my entire life, and I've never heard of this.
I've never heard of docetism either, but I could understand like, oh, this is probably something I don't know.
That was a nerdy
that I'm
writer
getting.
writing that for nerdy listeners.
Well, it's like when they make a joke about Pablo Neruda. Like, I don't know who Pablo Neruda is,
Right.
but now I feel like I know something that I've learned from The Simpsons. So now if someone's like, oh, docetism, I'll be like, oh, you talking about that Jesus Christ's body is an illusion?
I bet you $10,000 that docetism will never
The
come up in a
next
real,
time
in a
someone
real-life
says
situation.
docetism to me, I'm calling you up.
Outside of
you owe me money, motherfucker.
Outside of a We Reddit, We
Outside of
Studios
We, all right.
context or Podcast of Terror context.
25 years from now, you're gonna get. I will not have spoken to you in 20 years after the great rift of 2021, and I'm gonna call you up and I'm gonna.
We
say,
really disagreed over that Agnes Skinner
we really
episode.
did. We really did. I'm gonna call you up and be like, John Smith said docetism. You owe me money, Pacone. And you'll be like, who is this? I can't hear, huh? What?
What?
You guys totally glossed over the fact that after the statutory rape joke, the two bully students throw a child into a locker that has like Iron Maiden spikes, and then just blood runs out.
I didn't even see that.
I like a dark joke, and I was kind of like, ooh.
Well,
was
yeah,
really
this had a
uncalled
lot
for.
of like brutal, and we're gonna get into
Well,
this in the
let's
third
talk
vignette.
about this a little bit because I feel like in the Halloween episodes, they obviously have license to do things that are a little bit more extreme that they can't do in a
Nightmare
regular episode.
Cafeteria, dozens of children get killed.
You're right, and there's a lot of blood, and I feel like
It's very graphic.
it's very graphic, but I feel like
Actually, Grufik started in the original Mayoween.
It did.
Because it was Grufik.
Yeah, there was Grufik violence.
Because it was Grufik violence.
I feel-
Is this the 1 year anniversary? Is Grufik turned 1 today?
Oh, man,
Jesus.
he might have. I hope he wears his helmet.
Happy birthday to me. The Earth is flat. Do the math. The curvature of the Earth doesn't work out. Anyway, so they escape from hell, Bart and Lisa. And
They don't even really escape. They just kind of leave. And Bart is loving hell, but he just kind of goes with Lisa and gets out, which I thought was kind of weird.
I do want to mention that. This was probably the strongest story and character arc I can remember from a post-classic Treehouse of Horror vignette.
Yeah.
Basically, the plot is Bart is thriving in Hell School because
Right.
he's a little devil,
Yep.
and he's actually doing great. He knows how to torture people. It's less it's more exciting than geography and math and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like don't know much about torturing kids.
Boom, 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 boom.
Don't know much about evil lids.
That got away from you. Got away from you.
You know, like the lids from cans. They could you could cut your wrist and die.
All right.
They're evil.
You don't have to explain yourself, Jack.
Jesus Christ. There was an 8-second montage, though.
There was, yeah. With it was set to "Hell Is for Children" by Pat Benatar, which it was a very on the nose song choice. "Hell Is for Children" when you're showing a bunch of children in hell school, but it's a good song, so I liked hearing it.
So they find a portal and they go through the portal and they end up in Mr. Burns's office.
Yeah,
Which I loved.
Yeah. Well, Matt, explain the scene for us.
So they, and I don't remember specifically what Burns said. I should have written it down. Like amateur hour over here. But they take the portal out of hell and they show up in Mr. Burns' office. And he's just like looking down, doesn't even look up. And he goes, "Thanks for using the Burns hell portal."
Right.
Faction of like some big company. And then
Gulf Western.
A subsidiary of Gulf and Western.
Yes. Yeah. But I thought that was hilarious because there's a lot of occasions in which Mr. Burns is pointed out that he's evil and he's likely working with the devil. And it's just like, this just happens.
Yeah, that was just the right amount of over the top to work for me. I actually like this gag.
If you're going to have a hell port in Springfield, it's pretty obvious it would be connected to Burns somehow.
What I didn't like is, so now Barton leaves her back home and Bart goes, I actually really liked Hell School. I want to go back. And Homer has a hissy fit. He's just like, oh, it's some private school. You have to pay $1 million tuition, and then you got to pay the textbooks, and you got to do this, and then you got to, and then there's going to be
book
silent
fairs
auctions
and
and
silent
book fairs.
auctions.
Now, me and Dan went to a private high school that
sure
was
did.
very ritzy, and they literally told you to bring 2 blank checks on the first day of school so that you could fill them out for quote
I
unquote
don't even remember
computer
that.
stuff.
Yeah.
I remember because my mom was like, no. And basically we paid a ridiculous amount of tuition, although I think it's like tripled since we went to high school.
It's super expensive now, yeah.
And we also had to pay for our books and also had to pay these blank checks and also had to pay like a quote unquote computer fee. But then Homer goes, and then you get 10 emails a day and somebody hits reply all. Anyway, I agree with all this stuff because private school was ridiculous and all these extra checks were ridiculous.
Right.
But it just felt so stand-up
Yeah,
humor.
I was going to say that's very much the stand-up humor that you always
make a
point
joke
out.
out of it. Don't just
Like,
reiterate.
this is a thing that happens.
So we were saying how this segment went long, and basically I thought it was going to end when they escaped from hell.
Right, they leave hell,
yeah.
and then it becomes this whole thing where Bart wants to go back.
And I was like, okay, that's a fitting ending. It's like, okay,
Right.
Bart wants to go back. That's a great way to end the segment. Bart goes back to hell to go to school. It's almost like he's going away for college.
I thought it would be like he shows up back at hell, and it's a button to the episode. And
Exactly.
it's like, oh, Bart's doing so
but
well in
no,
hell. But
now
it
there's several
continues for a
scenes
lot.
of him thriving yet again in hell, and this kind of didn't add much. It was just kind of rehashing the first few scenes.
Well, that's when the montage comes in with the Hell Is for
Right,
Children,
right.
and then
There's also a line where he says when he's begging Marge, he goes, "Please tell me I could go to hell." That's fine.
That's whatever.
I like
But-
my puns.
But it ends, Bart is doing, I guess, his final exam, and he has to torture somebody, and it's Homer. Homer just appears, and it seems as he's volunteered to be tortured for Bart for no real reason.
Yeah,
And I thought that was a little weak.
Yeah, there's 2 things before that I just want to quick mention. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of books. I thought they were okay gags. It was like his school books were Fahrenheit 450,000.
Right.
Bill O'Reilly for kids.
Yeah, the no spin zone for children.
Yeah, there's a few other ones. They were.
That was the only one I remember.
It was good jokes.
Tender are my whipped buttocks.
Now,
That was my favorite.
Matt, are you just saying that, or was that one of the books?
No, I literally paused it and wrote them down. My wife's like, "Why is this buffering so much?" And I said, "I'm pausing it and rewinding it." And, it was tender on my whip butt cheeks. Fahrenheit 451,000. I'm not even dead yet, and O'Reilly factor for kids.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
Awesome.
writing those
Awesome.
down. You two.
You're a good guest, Matt.
I told you, I have done far more work for this than I have ever done for any podcast appear ever.
Well, we appreciate
Something
it.
I really did like in this episode was the animation. This scene in particular, or this whole segment in particular, was really well done. All the crazy monsters in hell, and the way Bart and Lisa looked in hell, but especially Homer at the end.
But especially Homer.
Especially Homer. Especially Homer.
But especially Marge. Join in, Matt.
Jesus Christ.
Matt is a fan, and he's shaking his head in disgust.
As if all of our other
a lot
fans
of times I
don't
listen
shake.
to this while I'm at work or while I'm exercising. So I just picture me laughing like to myself
Nice.
while on some sort of cardio machine.
I'd rather do that than picture you shaking your head in disgust while running on some sort of
Yeah.
cardio machine.
But
No,
Homer gets tortured by Bart as Bart's final exam, and then we actually see Homer afterwards, and he is fucked
It's
up.
graphic.
Like, he
It is graphic.
His head is disconnected from his body. There's just lacerations. You can see his ribs and his lungs. It was pretty graphic.
Yeah.
It was pretty graphic.
Matt, what do you think?
I agree. The guy next to him, I don't know if that was needed, where it's like, oh, which one's yours? He's taking pictures of his kid holding his arm, which is holding his cell phone.
Yeah,
And the guy
I
responded like,
yeah, it was all right.
Yeah, see, I like things like I like. That doesn't make me sound like a fucking weirdo, but like I like graphic images like that, where like Homer was tortured and you kind of get to see him.
Right. But
I like how you're both
in a
just
funny
staring
way.
at me.
well, I was waiting for you to say, but.
But do you mean like you actually like graphic images, or like when it's done comedically? Like Idle Hands was a movie that was graphic, but it was funny.
Yes.
It was a comedy.
Yeah. I mean, I like to see.
I don't like get aroused at the thought of like some
No one said
mutilated
aroused,
corpse.
Matt. I think
No,
I think you're trying to tell us
agree.
something.
I actually like this. Like, it's funny how they're like The Walking Dead. They show just like really graphic scenes.
Yeah,
where,
The
like, people
Walking
getting
Dead
faces.
is amazing.
Yeah, and it's just
The
amazing
Walking
that it's
Dead
on
is a
basic
great
cable.
television
And
show.
it's
What a network.
Before that show and maybe Game of Thrones, there was still gruesome deaths where I was like, wow, I've never seen that before. And now basically it's just like, okay, they've topped it. That's great.
Yep,
And
AMC is just the best network. That's what we're here to say.
No, yeah, and I
Wow.
agree. So I agree that I like when they go out of their way to show something really horrific. I don't like
Yeah.
when they cut away, like
Right, right.
the Hitchcock Psycho method. It's it's 2016. I want to see. You
wanna see blood and guts.
Spoilers for Game of Thrones, the first episode that came out this season. But
Yeah.
somebody gets a spear in the back of the head, and
Yep.
it was fucking awesome.
It was pretty awesome. I saw that one.
I actually going back to like I like gruesome things. I worked at a haunted house when I first moved to Appleton, and I actually got to go to a haunted house convention in St. Louis. And you literally just walk around and you look at like costumes and makeups and like stage props, and that was like the coolest thing for me. Like we go to haunted
pretty
houses
cool.
every Halloween because my wife and I are both really into Halloween, and it's like it's just really cool to walk around and see like scary, quote unquote,
Yeah, no, totally.
Scary settings.
Yeah.
That's why I really like watching horror video games. I don't like playing them because I don't like getting scared, but I like getting scared.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you,
I
Matt.
sat and watched my
Completely
friend play
agree.
Resident Evil 2 from start to finish, and I didn't
See,
touch it.
I would like watching
Yeah.
someone else play a horror video game. I don't like playing them myself.
I like playing them now,
myself.
but I didn't know how to at the time.
There needs to be a step I'm removed, like where I'm not actually in the game. I'm
I like
watching
it. I
someone
like the
play
VR. I
Yeah.
like being scared in the VR apps. I like it. My girlfriend certainly doesn't. She will not watch a horror movie.
it. I love horror movies, as I believe you know.
Welcome to Earth. Local time is 10:37. We know you have your choice of portals, so thank you for choosing the Burns Hellport, a division of Gulf and Western.
All right, so next segment, Clockwork
Clockwork
Yellow.
Yellow.
So it starts off as a very direct parody of Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
And who should play the rapist protagonist?
Gee, I wonder.
Who have all the Springfieldians? Who should play the rapist? Oh, how about Mo?
How about Mo Sislak? Yes, he should play Alex from A Clockwork Orange.
It makes sense, but I feel like that's a comparison you shouldn't keep drawing.
Well, look, if you're gonna do a Clockwork Orange parody, Mo is probably the best character to be this
and that's why
scoundrel
maybe you
slash
don't want to
rapist.
point that out, you know?
Well, I mean, they're never specifically saying I'm gonna rape somebody. Although there is the joke where he says we're gonna go for some of the in and out, which in the film in the book, Clockwork Orange means sex.
And as we said, there was also a very explicit statutory rape reference in the previous segment.
In the previous segment about children.
But yeah, so Mo is what the hell? I can't think of the guy's name. I'm blanking. He starred in
Alex.
Pearl.
Oh, Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell.
He starred in Pearl.
Yeah, it was the CBS one season
I know what Pearl
sitcom
is,
with
Jack,
Kevin Corrigan.
but I don't know why that's the first thing you think of.
Because
this
that was
fantastic actor.
It was the first time I'd ever seen him in anything.
Okay.
What was the first thing you ever saw him in?
Clockwork Orange, which I saw
How old were you?
when I was 5 years old. I was a disturbed child.
Was it like the Saturday morning, like a Clockwork Orange juice?
Yep. That was it. This movie's weird. My mom's like, shut up and watch it. Learn about rape.
S is for Schmoogie. Schmoogies? What? I haven't seen the movie in a while.
Schmoogies? If we didn't already have an episode title, S is for Schmoogies is not a bad one.
What are they called?
They were called Droogs. Is that what you're thinking of?
Oh,
Schmoogies?
I was thinking of the shmoo.
Yeah, there's a Shmoo reference later.
Cards on the Table. I have not seen Clockwork Orange since high school.
I love A Clockwork Orange. It's one of my favorite movies. So I did enjoy this segment, although it starts off pretty direct parody of the movie and very quickly moves into just using the trappings of the movies to do whatever.
It started out as a parody. Eventually, it became an original story. It was kind of a sequel to Clockwork Orange, which is an original story based in the universe of A Clockwork Orange.
I'm not gonna argue that.
It was original.
I did like it was
thinking of anyway.
It was kind of weird because it focused. Mo was the Alex character, who's the main character.
I asked this to you. I said, did they change Mo's facial features at all? Because to me, he looked exactly like Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, I think
Has Mo always looked like him?
His face and his nose were definitely Mo, but the hair was different. He had the eyelash thing that Malcolm McDowell
but besides
has
that
in the movie.
superficial stuff, like the facial features, or is my brain making a connection that's not there?
I think the face was there. I think you're just seeing him out of costume.
Matt, you're a big horror fan. Where's Clockwork Orange in your pantheon of like?
I know you're talking to
movies?
Matt, but I wouldn't call it a horror movie. That's just me.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it
Sci-fi?
a horror movie, but it's definitely more disturbing than a lot of horror movies I've ever seen.
There you go. There you go.
I like it, but I don't watch it often because it is
It's a
disturbing.
tough watch. It's a tough watch.
It's a very unnerving movie to watch. Just a lot of the scenes, the eye stuff towards the end of the movie where he's got his eyes peeled open bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
As does in Texas Chainsaw Massacre when there's close-ups of eyes. For whatever reason, it just makes me uncomfortable. It's really hard to get an erection during that.
These are both movies I watched, Clockwork Orange and Texas Chainsaw, that I watched a lot in high
While
school.
having sex? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, well, yeah. While furiously having sex.
I mean, I'm a huge Kubrick fan, and for whatever reason, I watched it once. I think I borrowed it from you, actually. You had
Maybe.
the DVD set,
Yeah.
and I just never got around to rewatching. I planned to. Kubrick was actually next on my list of. I was trying a few years ago. I was trying to watch my favorite directors, all of their movies chronologically,
Right.
And I got stuck on Hitchcock, because he has like 80 movies.
He has a lot of
and
movies.
And then I was like, and then I got a job, and then I was just like, well, that's over.
Yeah. Well, Kubrick is one of my absolute favorites. I've seen almost all of his movies. I've never seen Spartacus, believe it or not, which
Really?
is a pretty fucking
I'm
big movie.
Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus. Remember me? I'm Spartacus.
Etc.
Wow. It's even funnier to watch you two while you're doing that shit.
I'm
Where
sure
we
it
have to
is.
make
Listen.
eye contact, and for some reason, I guess nobody knows this. Whenever
always do the
whenever
arms.
we do Sideshow Mel, we move our arms in a very
Like
dramatic
this.
like this. We move them from below to above.
That didn't work at all. That was nothing.
But we swing
We
them
them
in
and
a wild fashion. You should see it to believe it.
This is
We're
how
not,
the
we're
magic
not
happens,
recording this
Matt.
video remote, so
Yeah.
you'll never see it.
Yeah.
Maybe on our first live show.
But anyway, as a big fan of Clockwork Orange, there's a lot of things I liked in this segment. I liked how Homer is with Marge, and he puts on a little of the Luther Van instead of the Ludwig Van,
Yeah.
because in the movie and the book, Alex is a big fan of Beethoven.
Who? Huh? What?
I didn't even make that connection and realize you were about to make that joke.
Huh? What?
What?
Who? Huh? Matt? 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 Dan? Huh? What?
Dan? Huh?
That's the sound of unsubscribe that you can hear.
It's like the end of each level of Paperboy. You have 7 unsubscribers. All the houses at Wii Studios are now red.
I wish we had that at the end of every episode. You got 100 unsubscribes.
Dum, 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 dum. You shouldn't have crashed in the obstacle course at the end, Dan.
Shouldn't have had Freak come
Shouldn't
out.
have done Sideshow Mel at the obstacle course.
You shouldn't have done
Are we just
Sideshow
repeating what I just said?
That's how it works.
So they parody the very famous scene where in Clockwork Orange where somebody is beaten to death with a giant penis sculpture.
Right.
And in this case, Mo is beaten with a shmoo, which is penis shaped. Who is Shmoo? I know he's somebody. I remember him, but we were like trying to debate. Do you know, Matt? We were trying to figure out where he's from. My guess was like Wacky Races or Flintstones.
I was thinking of the
Something-
Herculoids. Do
I
you
was
remember the Herculoids?
I was thinking something
that was a
Hanna-Barbera.
show back in the day.
Are we
The
looking this up?
Shmoo is a fictional
I'm trying to look
character
it up.
created by Al Cap,
Al
the character
Cap,
first in the
yes.
classic comic strip Lil Abner.
Yes. Now it's all coming back to me.
Is Al Cap brothers with Andy Cap?
Yep.
Really?
The Cap
Ooh,
brothers.
some
No, I have
good
no
ass
idea.
fries.
We should mention too when Mo gets beaten with the shmoo his penis. So it's basically Mo, Lenny, Carl, and Homer are the shmoogies.
The Droogs, as they're called.
and that's the first like minute, and then they grow up and they move on, and
it's
now
weird.
they're middle aged. They start off
Homer,
young.
Homer plays Dumb, who's like Dim from the movie, and he leaves, which causes Lenny and Carl to leave, and then Mo becomes a bartender.
Yeah, and then they grow into middle age.
They grow into middle age, and then Mo, it's not like a Clockwork Orange, like you said before.
Yeah,
It's a weird.
It's an original story.
It's a weird original-ish story based on a Clockwork Orange,
totally original, like David vs. Goliath too.
where Mo started out as Alex, but now he's the older gentleman that Alex doesn't kill, but he rapes his wife.
Right.
In the
It's
movie,
weird because he basically switches
weird
roles.
because
he
he switches
goes from
roles,
the
yeah.
countercultural to the establishment,
right, and the bullies,
which is not in the book at all.
the
except
bullies,
at the very
Nelson
end.
and Kearney and everybody, they are now the Droogs, and they knock on Mo's door, and I said, is Kearney going to rape Mo? Is that where this Halloween episode is going?
I wish.
I also wish. Go there if you're going to bring it up.
Exactly. Yeah, no. It
Rape
was,
him with the Shmoo.
It is weird
Rape 'em with the
it is
shmoo.
weird. Like this was a weird take on Clockwork Orange by having the counterculture become the establishment, and
Right.
then it goes a third beat where now it just becomes like it devolves into a random all the parodies, all the Kubrick
It just breaks
movies.
down into a Kubrick free for all, I guess.
Yeah, they
But
go to Burns Mansion.
Well, but even before that, pretty much the biggest takeaway that it seems the Simpsons writers got from A Clockwork Orange was the eyelash thing that Alex wears, because several characters in this parody have it. Mo has it,
and
Homer has it, Maggie
in
has
Clockwork
it.
Orange, just Malcolm McDowell's character has it.
Yeah,
right?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Homer puts it on in one scene, and then the very
When
next
Homer
scene,
rejoins the gang and puts on the eyelashes, and
it's
then
a big deal.
Yeah,
but
it's
then the
like-
very next scene, it's back on Mo.
Yeah, it was odd.
What do you think of? Well, you got any notes about this part of the vignette?
Yeah, I got a bunch actually.
All right, let's go through 'em.
When Marge and Homer were doing their scene where he's listening to the Luther van.
The Luther van.
When Marge is reading A Clockwork Orange.
I didn't
did anyone
even
else find
see
that to be
that.
stupid?
I did not notice that.
That is
but
stupid, though. That's
it
very
sounds
on
dumb.
the nose.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super dumb. Something I did find funny is that they're drinking Duff milk.
Yeah, I like the milk
that
bar.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
They drink milk.
One thing that did actually make me laugh is when they're talking about later after Mo is beat up and Marge and Homer are over there, and Mo makes a comment about how they weren't even wearing cod pieces, and Homer goes, "How else are they going to cover up their chunky wunks?" Not really funny, but it made me laugh.
Chunky Wunks is kind of funny. I like it. If you've
I
never
also
seen A Clockwork
noticed that-
Orange, they talk like that.
And I did like that
Yeah.
about this vignette, is especially in the beginning when Mo was narrating, they did like speak in Clockwork Oranges.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's actually called. Oh fuck,
Schmoogie.
it's Schmoogie. That's what it is.
Schmooganese.
Schmooganies.
Well, let's talk about they show up at the Burns mansion,
Which
and
was
it-
really cool because again, Clockwork Orange takes place in a weird future. It is technically
Yeah.
like a sci-fi, and
Yes.
at some point, I think you see Mo eating future beans or future peas.
Oh, do you? I don't remember
and
that.
it's like in an '80s future font.
It's been so long since we watched this episode. At this point,
So he eats future peas, and anyway, Burns' mansion. This is the first time I think we've ever seen Burns' mansion in a flash forward, and it was very industrial. It was really cool looking.
Yeah, it was.
So then they go to Burns's mansion, and it's an Eyes Wide Shut parody. It's a big sex party.
There's a sex party where
Sex
everyone
masquerade.
is wearing a little bit of a sex party. That's for my Comedy Bang Bang fans.
This portion turns into an out of control movie parody.
Yeah, there's
they throw
there's
in,
a lot of
they
references.
Throw in Full Metal Jacket.
Right. Well,
that one.
It starts off as Eyes Wide Shut, where there's all these people with masks, and there's an orgy type thing happening, and then we see Private Pile from Full Metal Jacket
tell
with the gun.
from Matt's reaction. I think he had the same reaction to Private Pile that I did.
Yeah.
Where it was just like there wasn't a joke to it. It was just like here's the movie. It was kind of like the Muppet Babies, where they would open up a closet door and there'd be a Star Destroyer.
Well, here's the
It's
difference.
Like, here's the Star Wars
Here's
reference.
the difference between this and Muppet Babies. It was probably the darkest part of the movie. It's the part where Private Pile is about to kill himself.
Spoilers
for
Yes.
Full Metal Jacket. I
If
kind
you've
of
never
like
seen
that.
Full Metal Jacket, go kill yourself.
Yeah, really.
It's right
such
before
a good
his
movie.
big
Such
a
rabbit
great
in a
movie.
snowstorm monologue.
Rabbit in a snowstorm.
Is this better?
And that's it for Vincent D'Onofrio things we've seen.
He also starred in Staten Island, ironically, a movie about Staten Island.
I never saw that
Never
movie.
seen it either.
I heard it was okay, but anyway. But you also there's references to 2001.
I actually like the 2001 parody.
I love the 2001 thing. I think Homer was he starts hitting someone and acting like an ape like the beginning of 2001, and you see the monolith, and then someone comes in and says, "Oh, there's my iPhone," and picks it up,
and it's a
an
perspective
iPhone.
joke.
Yeah.
The iPhone. It was actually
I thought
in
that was
front
really
of the,
funny.
the quote unquote camera, and it was actually just a iPhone. So, although I thought originally the joke would be that in the future the iPhones were all like
Giant,
7 feet tall.
really big.
Yeah, that could
Yeah.
work too. But I also really liked Comic Book Guy is dressed up as a character from Barry Lyndon, who I cannot remember what the name of the character is, and he shoots somebody and he says, "Even I don't understand what this is a reference to," which I thought was funny because Barry Lyndon is not one of Stanley Kubrick's more popular films.
Yeah, I think it was his first. Was
No,
it
his
first was The Killers.
It was after Clockwork Orange, before his signing.
What did you think of this whole Kubrick thing, Matt?
See, I'm not a huge Kubrick fan. I've seen a good portion of his work, the more popular stuff, but it started to just get lost on me, especially the end.
Yeah.
And like when they cut to Kubrick and he's sitting in this room and he's editing and he goes, just throw the whole thing out, let's start over. And he throws the pen up at the end.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, and
just
then
like,
the
what
pen
fuck
lands on
just
his
happened?
head, and then he stares at the camera for about 5 seconds, and then the episode just cuts to black.
That was not great. I feel like
Yeah,
Like,
even my
I-
wife was like, "Is it over?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I'm
get
like,
the
no,
joke that
there's no more.
Kubrick would shoot 7-8 takes, and he was
a
always
demanding
Yeah,
director.
and he was always re-editing, and he
Yeah.
was very unhappy with his work. I get that, but I do not know what the hell you're trying to do with the scene.
Well,
it was so weird.
I will point out that it cuts to Kubrick in the editing bay, and one of the
and the
film-
sign on the door says Stanley Kubrick, in case you didn't get
in
it.
case you don't get the joke, but there was a film canister next to him that said moon landing footage, which I thought was funny as a reference to the conspiracy that Kubrick shot the moon landing,
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
a whole fake
A lot of
thing.
flat earthers believe that Kubrick.
Oh, God, I bet they do. One thing we
Fucking
did.
idiots.
the Earth's fucking
Sorry.
round, you fucking
It
idiots.
really is. Columbus proved it. Remember that in
I
1692?
proved it when I looked out at the water and I saw the boat slowly disappear over the horizon. Okay, so our last segment is it's a spoof of The Others. Well, actually, it's not a spoof of The Others. It's called The Others.
It's called The Others,
The
which I
Others.
wrote. That's not very good because the other ones were sort
in
of funny
retrospect,
titles.
now I get it, but because it's about the other iteration of The Simpsons. Basically, what happens
Right.
is the Homer's being haunted by a ghost, and then they realize the ghosts are the old Tracy Ullman era Simpsons.
They're
And then he
haunting the
tries
house.
banging old Marge.
Yeah.
does,
So I
yes.
guess the
After-
others, I guess the others is referencing the fact that it's the other animation style of The Simpsons. But my
Right.
first thought was they always parody the name. They love their puns. Why not call it like The Bothers or something like that? Like even The Shining,
Yeah.
that was a straight up just parody of The
Well-
Shining, and they just added an N, and now it's The Shining, and that was
Right.
it. It's totally superficial.
But aside from the fact that it had to do with ghosts haunting a house, it really had nothing to do with
But
the plot of The
still,
Others.
isn't it
Which I know
weird
you've
that-
never seen. I don't want to
know.
spoil it for you
Don't
because
spoil
it's a
it,
good
but,
movie.
you were like, "Oh no, this is going to spoil it for you," and then
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh no, it's not."
No, I didn't. It's a,
But,
it's a solid movie. I recommend
But
it.
don't you think I can't think of another time that they literally just took another title without changing something.
Yeah, no, it was a little weird. It was kind of weak.
Anyway, so it's basically like the plot. We pretty much said it. They get haunted by the season one,
Right.
the Tracy Ullman era.
And
Simpsons.
I knew vaguely that that's what this vignette was about, and I liked when Marge says to Homer, like, where did these frosty chocolate milkshakes come from? Because I
Hey,
was
that-
like, oh
that-
no,
this-
I know exactly what's going on
Now, you
here.
had told me a couple weeks ago that this was the episode with that in it, and
Yeah.
I had totally forgot until I saw the frosted chocolate milkshakes.
Well, the frosty
Yeah.
chocolate milkshakes were here.
So I want to say
For
this.
your butt.
So I want to say this. Obviously it's the same voice cast as 27 years before this episode aired.
More than that, even.
Well, now more than that.
No, this was season 26, so it would have been 29 years ago.
It was 2014. No, you said
It was
this aired in 2014, which was
2014
27
to
years
20
after 87.
Does that math work out? I don't know. I'm not a math guy.
Anyway, so I
neither.
was surprised at they couldn't really do a great job of recreating those voices. Dan Castellaneta
Homer
came the
did decent. Yeah,
closest.
I guess Dan
but
Castellaneta, not Homer.
I get we've talked about how their voices have just naturally changed with age and how you
Yeah.
forget how to do it and how the voice evolves. But as voice actors, as professional voice actors, I was kind of shocked that none of them could remember how to do the voices.
Right.
Identically.
Well, it's got to be tough because, they're so used to doing the modernized voices,
Yeah.
and they've been doing them for 27 years.
Can you auto tune? But they're also good good impressionists.
True.
Like, can't Dan Castellaneta do a good impression of
Walter Matthau?
of his old Walter Matthau? I mean,
Yeah.
I think we do better Tracy Ullman.
I think your butt might be right.
I think my
Jack?
butt's right too, babe. What do you think, Matt, babe?
I'm uncomfortable right now.
Matt, do your Tracy Ullman era Lisa Simpson voice for us right now.
I couldn't even think of it.
That's
the only one
good.
that I
That's
could think
not
of was,
bad.
That's not bad
That was
because
not
she was
bad.
always like, I can't think
I
of
just
things.
can't think of it. Like that slight
That's
Wisconsin
exactly
accent.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Get the cheese curds. That's what she always says.
Wow.
That's Tracy
Negative
Ullman
season
era.
one Lisa.
Lisa, just get the cheese curds out of my butt.
Say what you will about the voices. Say what you will about the voices. I thought the animation, though, was pitch perfect.
Well,
Especially
yeah.
when they
Yes.
had, they did the, I think the animators called
The
it
mouth thing.
zipper mouth. Yeah, where their heads, their eyes would go different directions from their mouth. Bart does it several times in
my
this vignette.
butt would go in a different direction from my butt.
I loved the animation in this episode. I thought it was really, really, really well done.
It was.
I'm going to give this episode high marks on production.
So they've realized that they're being haunted by these old. They don't seem to care that they never quite get into who are these people in relation to us.
They kind of just accept, it's old versions of us, as if that's a thing that
and
happens.
the way they play them off as, because there's some scenes with old original Marge, they call her, and Homer, they play them off as that they're younger. She's like, I can still stay up all night and I don't get tired. And basically it was like they're 20-something selves,
Yeah.
which is a totally different concept than clashing with Tracy Ullman era, season one era Simpsons. This was more like you're clashing with your younger selves, which was a weird choice.
Yeah, it was odd.
Yeah.
This is coming from Wikipedia. So one of the writers of this episode revealed that this episode segment expanded on an earlier episode that implied that the Ullman Simpsons were murdered and buried under the family home. Which is
then
not
who
something
were
that
the-
I've ever considered or known
I'm
about.
assuming Moe raped and murdered them.
I
but
assume
but who
so.
are the new Simpsons in relation to
But I
them?
don't.
then?
Yeah, I don't understand. There's two families that look exactly alike, but one is more blockier.
If that's how the logic worked, then Poltergeist, instead of Craig T. Nelson, would just be another Native American guy living in
Yeah.
the house with his Native American family.
They're here in my butt.
Is that your Native American Craig T. Nelson?
And also season one Homer.
So
Yeah.
they decide to exercise them. I like this. Homer is using a Bible at first, and then you realize it's
The car seller's Bible.
Well, yeah.
that's
that
like
was
to me
great.
that's like a classic type.
yeah.
joke.
That was really good.
Well, you caught what he said, right?
Yeah, he
power
says
of
the power
Chrysler
of
compels
Chrysler
you.
compels
Yeah.
you. I didn't love that. I don't know.
I thought it was diminishing returns. I thought it wasn't as good as the car seller's Bible
Yeah.
joke. And maybe if he had said the power of Chrysler compels you first, and they're like, Dad, that's not the line. He goes, yeah, it is. And then you reveal it's the car
That's the
seller's
car-
Bible.
Yeah, that might have worked better.
I don't know.
So
So
yeah.
I was just going to get into the plot.
Well, I was just going to say, I love the idea of these ghosts of the Ullman era Simpsons haunting them, and Homer kind of falls in love with this more carefree Marge.
Again, because she's younger and more energy.
I guess it's also because Marge, over the years, Homer has done so many wacky schemes that Marge has kind of had to been the wet blanket counterpoint to him.
So this Marge doesn't know about Homer, the astronaut, and Homer, the tow truck driver.
This Marge hasn't had to experience any of that stuff, so she's kind of young and vibrant, and he's attracted to that. And I thought that was kind of an interesting way to go with this.
I think that's more interesting, although I got more the young and vibrant out of it, which is less interesting. I wish they would have hammered that home more, maybe with more references. Like, you never threw a thing of pig feces into the lake, into Lake Springfield.
Like Homer could have. That's true. Homer could have been like, "Oh, you don't remember when I went into space, or when I, was a sexual harassment accusations?"
And vice versa, or got married to a Vegas wife.
Yeah.
And vice versa, Marge could have fell in love with our home. Yeah, Marge could have fell in love with the old Homer, who was like pretty much a decent dad, just trying to do right by his kids.
Yeah. It was an interesting premise. It's not where I would think to go with it.
So I actually really didn't like where I thought this was a waste of the Ullman era premise.
Really?
Because basically, I was really uncomfortable in the way I'm uncomfortable with the Walrus Alec Baldwin episode. What the hell is it?
Bonfire of the Manatees.
Bonfire of the Manatees. This was like a shitty Homer Marge dynamic that I put in the worst of our worst episodes.
Are you talking because Marge kills herself to get Homer's approval?
So basically she's jealous that Marge is with younger Homer is with younger Marge, so she kills herself that she'll become a ghost. And it's like, Marge, just fucking leave Homer. Don't kill yourself.
Right. But
Homer's not worth it. Not this Homer.
So Marge rationalizes, Homer's in love with a ghost. I'll fix this. And she opens the oven and she gets inside of the oven. And you and I were like, oh my God, is she going to kill herself?
And she goes, I'm going to clean this oven.
And she does. But she says, I might as well clean this oven while I'm killing myself.
Yeah, so she says, I might as well clean.
Dark.
Well, she says, I might as well clean this oven. I was like, oh, thank God, she's not actually doing it. And then she continued the sentence, and I was just like, no,
yeah.
It was like a back and forth.
That was pretty dark. Was that too dark for you, Matt? What do you think about that?
I have written down Marge suicide equals dark, and then what gets worse is
the groundskeeper Willie part right afterwards.
We'll get up to that.
No, that's the next scene. That's the next thing.
That's later.
Bart and Lisa kill themselves because they don't want to do chores.
Yep.
And the groundskeeper Willie.
Well, Groundskeeper Willie drags away their bodies, and he has Maggie's body, and Bart and Lisa as ghosts are like, oh, who killed Maggie? And it zooms in on Willie's face, and he's just like shifty-eyed.
Yeah.
And then he's like, now I'll have stew for the winter, implying he's going to eat the Simpsons children.
He's going to eat the Simpsons children, and he killed Maggie.
That is super dark.
I just want to go back, though. I didn't think the Marge thing was that dark because it's a Halloween episode. I thought
Marge killing herself in the oven isn't dark to you.
I didn't think. I mean, I thought that once the kids started killing themselves, I was like, all right, this is getting too dark. But what bothered me again was not that she was killing herself; it was that she was killing herself for Homer's approval. That really was like just.
I'll be honest, I didn't even think about that aspect of it, but you're right.
So then what happens is they're seducing him in the bathtub, and then Ghost Homer finds out and tries to kill him. And you think he has a toaster? Do you think he's going to throw the toaster in the bathtub?
Right.
But he just bludgeons Homer
he
to
just
death.
beats him to death with it.
I like that.
I like that too.
But basically, Homer, the two Marges are fighting over Homer, and I'm just like, no,
why? Why are we fighting over Homer? Homer sucks.
I thought it would have been much more interesting if the two Homers had to fight over our Marge.
Yeah. You might be right.
Because she's the one that's worth fighting for. Homer is not worth fighting for. You should leave Homer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's a great
really
point.
had even though this is an episode where Bart and Lisa kill themselves and Willie kills Maggie, the hardest thing for me to swallow was the fact that
Marge would kill herself for Homer's love.
Just the fact that both Marges were fighting over Homer. It should have been the other way around, or it should have been switched. It should have been like the two
Yeah, it didn't bother me at the time, but I think you're right that watching the two Homers fight over one of the Marges would have probably been a more interesting episode.
Yeah, like at the very end of the episode, the two Marges make up with each other and they hug and they go, they're like, you know what, we're both Marge, we can get over this. And I was like, this is really beautiful having both Marges hug each other. I was like, that's a happy ending. the happy ending shouldn't be that they all go back to status quo. The happy ending should be like the Marges go, you know what? We don't need these two Homers. We're all we need. And then they float away. And then the two Homers are stuck with each other. And Homer's just like, should we watch the game? And Homer's just like, I guess. I like watching the football in my butt. So wouldn't that have been a stronger ending if it was like the two? Like that makes sense to me that the two Marges would go, we don't need these losers, and then the two losers are stuck with each other.
Yeah, no, that would have been good.
You leave out Bart and Lisa entirely, so there's no child suicide.
I don't know. I like the child suicide. That was the highlight of the episode for me. Something I actually did like. I was being facetious when I said I liked the child suicide.
Well, you do love children suffering.
You know what? I do. So I was not being facetious. I was being facetious when I said I was being facetious. But
Matt, what were you saying?
I felt like this whole like section was like a shitty buildup just for them to make a half dozen different Simpsons families that roll in at the end.
Right.
And
I actually kind of like that.
Like
but
they just forced. Well, part of it was kind of funny to me.
We should explain.
But it just ends.
Yeah, we should explain what happens. Basically, they say, well, if there's a second iteration of The Simpsons, there could be an infinite iterations of The Simpsons. And then they start pouring in through the front door, and it's just like, what was the first group?
The first one was a CGI'd like Pixar Simpson, and John Ratzenberger is actually the voice of Homer, which I loved.
Who from Cheers?
Cliff Clavin from Cheers,
who was in every Pixar movie.
He's in every Pixar movie. I thought that was really funny.
Then it was an anime Simpsons, and then you just see a line of them out the door.
Then there was Adventure Time, South Park, Archer, Minions, Lego Simpsons. I think there was one more that I didn't catch, but those are the ones I wrote down.
Yeah, that was fun.
I liked it.
And then the episode ends very sweetly with basically after all the iterations, the original Allman era and our version of The Simpsons, they take a family photo together.
Oh,
right. Was this a specific reference to an Allman era or season 1 thing?
It must
Does this
have
happen?
been,
I think it's like I think the Christmas episode or something they do
Butts
something like
Homer
this.
was playing with the camera and trying to get everybody to pose right, and that's very familiar to me. I feel like I've seen a
I like that we're just calling him Butts Homer.
Yeah, I think there was an Allman shirt where they were trying to get a family photo
I think you're right.
I could be wrong.
But you could be right.
But I may be wrong.
It wasn't an Allman short, and it wasn't Homer with the camera, but the Christmas episode. It reminded me of the Christmas episode where
right?
Marge is complaining about how they never have a good family photo, and then that's the one or the Bone Storm episode where Bart steals the video game.
Right.
Yeah, and I really like this. It was like a sweet idea. It's like, oh, it's very sentimental. You got the 87 Simpsons, and you got these Simpsons together. But like season 1, I felt like it could have been a little funnier. I felt like the joke was they couldn't take a photo together, and it's like, yeah, that was funny in 1987. It could have used an extra beat, basically.
The whole third act to me just felt like it was thrown together just to kill time, because it was very short. It was like 6 or 7 minutes.
I don't know. I liked it more than you guys did.
There was no story whatsoever. I'm not saying that's one I didn't like it, but there was nothing to hold on to. It was basically like, all right, we've got the original Simpsons here. Let's do what we can.
I didn't hate it. I liked the idea that this Ultimate era Simpsons would be ghosts. You're right that it would have been maybe smarter to have the Homers fighting over the Marge instead of the other way around.
That was my biggest problem. But otherwise, I didn't hate it.
But I enjoyed this segment. I would watch this segment again. I would actually watch this entire episode again.
I would say out of all, I mean, we're about to rank it, but I would say this was probably my favorite out of all the Halloween ones.
I would agree with you. Jack, is it time to rank it now that you've presaged the ranking?
I was going to say, Matt, any final thoughts on Treehouse of Horror 25?
Hey, smoke weed every day.
There you go.
No,
it
was good, but probably not my favorite. I mean, like I said, I have watched them all, but it was not as bad as I thought it could potentially be.
Yeah.
So,
and that's saying a lot these days.
Certainly is, especially for a season 26 episode.
It could have used more butts.
They should have had Homer talking about butts. There wasn't
Marge.
one butt.
Marge should have left Homer for butts.
Why, I recognize those cops what's be whacking my gob topper. It's Leonard and Carlton. You blokes want to join me for one last bit of noggin boggin? I saved your bowlers.
All right, guys, it is time to rank this episode, Treehouse of Horror 25. That's all we got to say. So we're going to look at this on our Hippo scale, which, as you know, we're going to look at the humor, the integrity, the production values, and the originality on a 0 to 5 scale. So, Jack, do me a kindness and put 2 minutes on that clock.
Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. It was a graveyard beep.
Okay. Good job.
Oh, you do the fucking. You put
beep,
the two.
beep, 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 beep.
All right, that was better. That was better. All right.
All right, so you can use any of those takes.
Holy shit.
I'm going to leave that line in so people just assume we've done 70 takes of me putting 2 minutes on the clock.
They wouldn't be wrong. So 2 minutes are on the
Matt
clock.
looks so tired.
Matt, we're going to wrap this thing up. Treehouse of Horror 25, the humor of this episode. We're going to look at you first. 0 to 5 scale, Matt. What do you got?
2. I got a couple laughs out of it. Nothing serious. It really fell off. It really screwed the pooch, if you will, there towards the end.
I 100% agree,
Laughs.
too. Screw the two.
I think I like this episode more than both of you guys did. This episode had a couple of solid chuckles. I'm going to go right down the middle and say 2.5.
I could go 2.5. It was, you're right.
This was not an episode I hated. This is an episode I would watch again, which is saying a lot for these
I'd
late
watch
era
it once or
episodes.
twice,
I would
maybe.
watch this again. The integrity of this episode. Matt, what are you thinking? These characters. I mean, it's tough because it's a Halloween episode, but as best as you can, what do you think the integrity was?
Based on the fact that it's a Halloween episode, like you said, it's really hard.
Yeah.
1.5.
Okay.
I want to give it extra points because I think they did a good job with integrity with having Bart appreciate the Hell School. Like, I was like, oh, wow, this is one of the few Halloween vignettes that actually use character work. But they screwed the pooch with the Homer Marge stuff in the third vignette, which I thought was really terrible. I can't. I have right now. I have 2.5 because they cancel each other out. But I think maybe the Homer Marge stuff was a bigger misstep than the Bart stuff was done well.
Yeah.
But right now I have 2.5 down.
I'm actually leaning towards 3. I don't know. I did like this episode a lot. It was not great, but there was just enough to keep me entertained, I would say. And I didn't really notice the Homer Marge thing until you pointed it out, and I kind of did enjoy that segment, I think, more than both of you guys did.
Yeah,
So
like
I'm
I
gonna go
said,
3.
the Homer Marge stuff really pissed me off.
I'm going to go 3. The production values on the episode. Matt, what do you think? This is the acting, the
3.5.
direction. Okay, 3.5. That's pretty good.
It was really good. I mean, it looked good. A lot of it was drawn really well, and it was being a Halloween episode. I mean, you can't really, you can't be too picky. I mean, Homer
the
did
animals
get
have fun
tortured
with
with
it,
with a mace and a bag of piranhas. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to give it a 3. I was a little disappointed that they didn't wow me with any of the Hell stuff. Like, it was all good. It was all 3. But I don't know about 3.5. But then I was thinking, I really like the Mr. Burns mansion. I really like the iPhone gag with the monolith.
Yeah, I
so
like
I'm going
that
to bump
too.
it to 3.5.
I was also thinking 3.5, and I think I actually like the animation more than you did. I kind of want to do like a 3.6 situation, just so I'm a little bit above you, but I won't. I'll do a 3.5. Because I really did. I thought the animation in the Hell School thing was great. Even the Clockwork Orange stuff was great. And I really, really liked the Ullman era stuff. I think that was it all worked really well for me. And even, actually, you know what? I'm talking myself into a 4. I think I'm going to do it. Because I actually really liked all the different style Simpsons at the very end, like the CGI Simpsons, the anime Simpsons, Bob's Burgers Simpsons. I'm going 4. I really liked the way this episode looked.
I wouldn't argue that. I don't agree, but I wouldn't try to convince you otherwise.
Well, please don't, because we don't have time. There's only 2 minutes on the clock, Jack.
beep, 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 beep.
Now we have to use that take. Matt, the originality. We don't have to. Matt, the originality. What do you think?
I guess I'll have to go 2.5, middle of the road. I mean, they essentially stole a Clockwork Orange in the middle. The end was, or the third act was dumb. The first one was really good, so it all kind of evens itself out.
Yeah, I'm going to go a little high on this. I'm going to go 3.5 because for a Halloween episode, it's crazy that only one of the parodies was a direct adaptation, and even that turned into an original story at some point.
I agree with you on this situation,
Bart's
Jack.
School was actually a really cool idea for a Halloween episode, and it was fairly original. The idea, even though it was an Others parody for the first minute, the way they incorporated the Ullman era Simpsons, that was original. So the originality was fine, and the structure was fine. Again, I guess the Bart one did go on a couple of beats too long.
The Bart one went on a little bit too long, so I'll ding it a little bit for that.
Maybe I could be brought back down to a 3. I don't know.
But I agree with you. I thought it was, the kids go to school in hell. That was an original idea. The Simpsons are haunted by their former selves. I thought that was a really original idea.
I'm haunted by my former self.
Me too. Okay, so we have crunched our numbers, and Treehouse of Horror 25 has has ranked as a slightly better episode than Homer Simpson in Kidney Trouble and a slightly worse episode than worst episode ever. Guys, that puts this episode as number 63 on our list. Not bad. By far the best Halloween episode.
Yeah, that's not nothing.
No, that's not nothing. It's in something, in fact. It's a good 20 higher than Treehouse of Horror 22, which we did not like very much.
Okay.
So that is it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. If you have an episode you would like to suggest, you can do that on our website. It's weepodcast.com, weepodcast.com. And while you're there, you can get to our Facebook page, our Twitter, our Reddit, our 90s percentile page. That's our other podcast, which is a lot of fun.
Also, we keep
Sync
saying
points.
leave us iTunes reviews, which you should do.
Yeah, you
but
should.
I keep noticing all these like Simpsons conversations that come up in different websites and forums and stuff, especially on Reddit. Now that I'm exploring the deeper threads of Reddit, throw us a shout out. Like, if there's a comment thread where we're actually relevant, just be like, hey, there's actually a podcast that's relevant to this.
There was a thread on r/Simpsons that was about bombardment saying, was this the worst joke the Simpsons ever did? And no one had mentioned us, and I was not going to be the one to be like, oh, this podcast that I coincidentally know about.
It feels really like lame to self promote like that, even though that's the exact kind of thread. It would be like, hey, there's an entire episode about this. We would do, I've done it about other people's podcasts. It's just weird doing it about ourselves.
It's weird doing it about ourselves.
Word of mouth is probably at our stage of our low level of fame.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is the best we can do. So please, if you see something like that,
our no level of fame.
also check out Matt's podcast. It's a podcast of terror.
Yeah, you don't have to.
All right,
Maybe
then
cool if you
please
did.
do not.
How about, would you rather people check out your podcast or check out your music, check out your band?
Well, we don't have music, so Dan and
That's
I were
one of
talking
those
about
silent
this.
bands,
Another piss break.
They're putting out
We'll
an
have
EP.
music
They're
eventually.
putting out an EP. We've talked about this.
Yeah. So fun thing. The album artwork is actually going to be drawn by Gary Yap, who is a storyboard artist for The Simpsons.
Oh,
he
that's
asked
awesome.
me if he could do it, and
Don't tell me you were on this show.
he wants to come on.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
talked about that. I thought
that's
you
the guy.
guys
Yeah,
were supposed
yeah,
to email him. Yeah. But
Yeah, we probably should do
so I do the Podcast of Terror, which is a horror themed podcast, mostly movies. We'll do some video games as they come out. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Podcast of Terror. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all that stuff. We're pretty much the greatest thing since sliced bread if you're not really into deep conversation, unless it's about dicks.
All right.
And let's just be clear that sliced bread is Wonder Bread. It's
It's the shitty Wonder Bread. But as you guys mentioned, the band Drown the Lifeguard are on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook is Drown the Lifeguard. Due to Twitter's inability to allow me to use all the letters, on Twitter we are D the Lifeguard.
D
that
the
could be
lifeguard.
anything.
Okay.
100% on purpose.
That's
Very
awesome.
much on purpose.
No, that's definitely
Nice. I love it.
That's
Yeah,
great.
we have an Instagram too, but they all post to each other, so Facebook's one.
Okay.
All right,
Very
just,
cool. So Drown the Lifeguard on Facebook. Check them out.
And,
Podcast of Terror.
a good Podcast of Terror episode, if you're trying to break into it, would be our episode.
Yeah, Gremlins 2.
Yeah, the Gremlins 2 one. If I was more prepared, I would know exactly what number that is.
Just Google
Just
Gremlins
Google
2,
Gremlins
Podcast
2.
of Terror, Jack Bacone, Dan Mulhall,
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan.
you'll find it. Hulk Hogan was in Gremlins too, so it
There
makes
you go.
sense.
Yeah, it was. I did notice on your subreddit, the Gremlins 2 episode of the Podcast of Terror is the only comment is one of you guys saying, well, this was a lot of fun. I check it every day, and I'm like, no one
I
cares.
actually was looking at that
we
earlier
barely
today.
get comments on some of our episodes, but
Yeah.
I do notice that whenever we try to plug anything we do that has nothing to do with The Simpsons, they don't care.
It's a little tepid.
Yeah, well, even if it's 90s related.
Even if it's like a 90s percentile episode, people are not that into it. But we have a great group of Reddit people. There's the core group that comments all the time. We love them. They're all great. But speaking of 90s percentile, you should check it out. That's our other podcast. It's not exactly about the 90s, guys. Just
It's
check it
about
out.
as related to the 90s as this show is to The Simpsons.
Yeah, it's
Maybe
it's
less.
a guiding light. And
It's
also
an
we
As the
talk
World
about guiding
Turns.
light.
Yeah.
And Judith Light, which is also she was a 90s actress.
There you go.
Who's the boss? It was her. If you're listening to this the day it comes out, it is a day of Simpsons trivia in Brooklyn. So if you're in the Brooklyn area, you can come to Berry Park in Williamsburg. I will be doing some trivia with Dan Ozzie, friend of the show. Jack will be there
Maybe.
as a
I'll
participant.
probably be editing this episode.
You might be. This episode will be
Wait, no,
5
this
minutes long.
episode's
Well, it's coming out this day, so you've probably
I'm
finished.
probably
by now.
editing the deleted scenes, of which there will be many.
Of which there will be many. So come check that out. If you are not in Brooklyn, if you're in, say, Toronto or Vancouver
Or Wisconsin? Where's the nearest Simpsons trivia for Matt?
there is one in Detroit. It's
Chicago.
Probably
There's one in
Chicago's
Chicago's way
a big
closer,
one.
but I
Okay,
would
I don't
rather
know my
poke
Midwest
myself in
geography.
the dick with a hot poker than fucking go to Chicago.
So there you have it.
Well, I know Neil Arcenti is the host in Chicago.
Yeah,
he's
he's
a great
actually a
guy.
great
He's
guy,
super
yeah.
nice. So you might enjoy it if you trek out to Chicago. But I know
Just
nothing
close your
about.
eyes and pretend you're in Detroit.
I know nothing about the. I know the Detroit people too. You got Pat and Kara.
There you go.
Hosting out in Detroit. They're both
Why
great.
can't you guys come to Wisconsin to do one episode? So one trivia night.
Well, we're trying to get time off work. We're trying to get our jobs to sponsor this, but I don't know if they will. But we want to just get a Grufik shaped van and drive
across the country
and just hit up a bunch of spots like
Yep.
diners, drive-ins, and Wies.
That's what we want. We'll get there. We have to frost our tips first. Then we'll get there.
I've got
You guys
to snip my
can stay
tip.
at my house. One of my dogs will tongue rape your face.
All right.
I love dogs.
You had us
so
at tongue
I'm on
rape.
board. So Matt, thank you for being our guest today. Matt Stein from the Podcast of Terror. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
We've
a lot
already
of fun.
we've already said where people can find you online, so that's
And we'd
that's
love
all
to have
good.
you on again and get your partner Corey on and maybe get you guys on 90th percentile.
My co-host partner makes it sound like we're a bunch of
Wait, you
fucking teen
guys
smashers.
host a show together?
Oh, I thought you guys lived together and loved together.
I just
and
assumed
laughed.
that's the quote unquote girlfriend. That's the exact opposite of you behind the door.
God, I'm going to get my wife when we're here, and I'm going to get all my dogs, and it's going to be really uncomfortable.
Oh my god. So thanks so much, Matt. Next week we're going to be doing another episode from season 15. It's called My Mother the Carjacker. We're coming in just after Mother's Day with that one, but we'll be back
Sorry,
next
moms.
week. Sorry, moms.
It should be that episode should be releasing about 3 days before the flowers show up in North Carolina to my mom's house.
There you go. So check us out next week. That is it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. However long this episode was, there will be a lot of deleted scenes, no matter what. So that's it. Matt, how do we close every episode?
Cut all this?
That is
Are you
Got that?
sure? Are you sure?
No, I'm not fucking sure
Is
at
that-
all.
is that
By this
your-
time, I have completely checked out of your episodes. I am likely taking a shower.
Yeah.
You know, listen, we do some really funny stuff at the very, very
Sometimes
end.
we do have funny bits at the very end.
Dude, I'm
Like
not going to
this
lie.
is
Freed
free.
If
was
you
a
looked
late.
at, like,
Freed was a late episode bit.
Yeah, look how well that worked out.
Yes, it worked out great.
yeah, if you look at like all of my played episodes on my phone, I'm actually I'm checking right now, but it's like 2 minutes left, 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left. I have checked out at this point.
That's
of
why,
our-
that's why you seem so surprised that Dan hosts a trivia.
No, I knew about that, and I've even looked at the Simpsons classic trivia.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a few beers in. My mouth is starting to get a little numb.
Woohoo! Classic Simpson trivia. Just Google it. You can find it on the
Anyway,
blog.
Matt, the correct answer was cut all this.
That's what I thought. I knew it was some variation of those words.
Oh, there you go. Some variation of cut all this is the correct answer.
And that's how the show ends.
Live from Rigel 7, conquerors of Rigels 4 through 6. It's the 25th annual Treehouse of Horror, with special guest stars Jennifer Lawrence, Warren Beatty, John Travolta, Clint Eastwood, George Clooney, Prince, Taylor Swift, Sean Penn, Bruce Springsteen, Helen Mirren, Morgan Freeman, James Franco, Kanye West, and Leonardo DiCaprio.